Do you want to learn how to maximize memory while studying? Watch this video for evidence-based strategies proven to support neurodiverse minds. Tip 1. Set realistic attention goals. Studying longer does not mean studying better. Think about it. As fatigue sets in, you'll become less productive. Most of your time and energy will be spent resisting distractions rather than on studying. Or, if you slip into hyperfocus, you could push past your energy limits without noticing and burn yourself out. Your brain will need a longer recovery period and will start to associate studying with exhaustion, making you more likely to avoid studying in the future. Try the Pomodoro method to use your time and energy more effectively. Study in 25-minute high concentration intervals separated by 5-minute breaks. After 4 study blocks, take a longer 30-minute break. 5-minute breaks give your brain enough time to reset without losing momentum, so you will be able to get started again easily and maintain focus for longer. If you start in week 1, you also have time to space out studying into smaller 25-minute weekly study blocks. Use this time to review your slides and class notes from that week and write down any questions to ask your professor next class or at their office hours. Gaining understanding early helps you avoid falling behind because lectures often build on each other, improves memory encoding because your brain can better connect new information to what you already know, and prevents procrastination because smaller study blocks are less intimidating. Tip 2. Condense study topics. During weekly review sessions, start condensing your study notes. Less is easier to remember. To identify big ideas more easily, try identifying them weekly. It will be much easier to remember what was emphasized in lecture right after class rather than 8 weeks from now right before the exam. Recall verbal cues from your professor. What did they say was important to remember? Or what did they repeat multiple times or say more slowly? Contextual clues can also help, like text that is bolded, on a summary slide, or that your professor handwrites on the board during class. Know other kinds of high-value information too that often appears on assessments, like theories, processes, formulas, and definitions. Once you have identified 3 to 5 big ideas, turn them into flashcards. Each week, add a few more and practice them, especially the harder ones. This strategy ensures that study time is spent productively on what you need to learn rather than on what you already know. And the smaller task prevents procrastination. You don't have to make 50 flashcards all at once. Tip 3. Reduce cognitive load. Cognitive load refers to the amount of mental effort required to process information. A little effort helps you learn if you are engaging more deeply with course content, but too much can overwhelm your brain, which makes it harder to understand and remember. Neurodivergent students often experience higher cognitive load because more mental energy is often required to manage differences in attention regulation, sensory sensitivities, language processing, or pain management. The good news? You can reduce cognitive load and free up energy for learning. One simple strategy: turn your notes into mind maps. For example, imagine you are a psychology student trying to memorize these notes. That's a high-load task. Lots of text, isolated details, and disorganization. Your brain has to work extra hard to filter and organize the information before storing it into memory. Help your brain out by filtering and organizing concepts on paper first. This mind map covers the same class content but presents it in a structured, condensed way. Memory encoding is now easier because related ideas are grouped together under a concept or question, similar details like stage names are aligned, and information is reduced to keywords and visuals that represent course content. If you have dyslexia or are managing concussion symptoms, reduce cognitive load even more by reducing text contrast too. Using a darker shade of paper can be effective. Combining mind maps with visual memory cues makes them even more effective. That's because the brain processes text and images separately, giving you an additional pathway for memory encoding and retrieval. These images also force you to practice recalling and explaining information in your own words, just like you will need to do on an assessment. Tip 4. Reinforce with repetition and recall. Active recall means pulling information from memory, not just rereading it. Two effective strategies are flashcards and practice quizzes. These study tools work best when you create them yourself because predicting questions helps you think more deeply about the material. Try creating a variety of different question types that use lower level and higher level thinking skills. Define key terms, compare concepts, apply ideas to new situations, and evaluate strengths and weaknesses. These are the kinds of questions you will see on exams. Preparing for them while you study can improve the flexibility of your memory so that you can more easily apply what you studied in new ways. Another powerful recall strategy is called blurting. First, review a concept for 1 minute. Then, put your notes away and write down everything you can remember. Finally, compare your notes to the original and use a different color pen to write in what you forgot and correct what you got wrong. For even better results, make a mind map first, then blurt with that. And don't just recall content once, recall the same information multiple times across multiple days. This strategy is called spaced repetition. Let's break it down. The spaced part is important because studying across multiple days or weeks helps us maximize sleep sessions in between study sessions. Sleep is when our brains consolidate what we have been learning into long-term memory. But our brains cannot store everything, so that's why repetition matters too. Brains see repeated information as important information and then prioritize storing that into long-term memory. Each time you recall that content, you're not just improving memory encoding, you're also improving memory retrieval. Retrieval pathways in your brain will get stronger each time you try to recall the information. Tip 5. Manage anxiety symptoms. Even with strong preparation, anxiety can still block access to your memory during assessments. Here are some strategies to manage test anxiety symptoms. Practice under timed conditions. Set a countdown timer when doing practice questions to get more comfortable with exam conditions and to identify what types of questions take longer than others. Visualize your progress. Do you sometimes have anxious thoughts before an assessment suggesting that you are not prepared? If so, review evidence that shows how you are prepared, like a study topic checklist. Move your body to release some anxious energy too. Start your day by going to the gym, going on a walk, dancing around your bedroom, or shaking it out and swinging your arms across your body. Memory dump. Review one challenging concept or formula right before the assessment, and then write it down on scrap paper as soon as you sit down. Knowing that you can refer back to that information later on can help you start the assessment feeling more calm. Try these study strategies out and see what works best for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your SAS advisor, the SAS Writing and Learning Specialist, and library learning experts.